Hi guys, we're back. We've got two for you this week. This one will go up on YouTube. The other one will only go on BitChute. Link will be below. How are you, Harry?
Excelente.
Good. Oh, and for the couple of guys out there that point out that my volume or my audio is not that good, I have ordered a headset with a microphone, which should be here within the next couple of days. So before we do the next podcast, it should be ready. I should have it. A little bit of housekeeping as usual for those who haven't seen it. We are picking up new subscribers all the time, so welcome to all the new subscribers. This is the VPN that we use. I'm using Vienna again at the moment, even though I'm in China. And you can connect through anywhere you want. Keeps your privacy or maintains your privacy, and nobody can track you. So the link will be in the description below. Its normal price is $70 a year, and we get 30% off. So there's a promo code. What's in it for us, Harry? What do we get out of it?
The same discount everyone gets.
Absolutely, 30% off. When we did the last one, I did mention about putting links in the comments, guys. Now, one of our wonderful subscribers, Nimnet, she tried to send a link. Comes up in my notifications, but when I click on the message to reply or whatever, it's not there. So I know it's a pain. It's obviously a spam thing. What you've got to do, you've got to drop a comment, wait for a reply, and then you can put the link in. But if you put a comment and it contains a link, we can't see it. Okay, that's why we don't respond to it, because we can't. Okay. All right. So as I say, we've got two for you this week. Harry's going to present his very, very interesting presentation. And then we're going to go over onto BitChute, and I'm going to present a complete mishmash of some of the most craziest shit that you've ever seen. And it's stuff that we obviously can't put here. So shall we get into it, bro?
Yeah, let's talk about how we really don't know much. What we're taught and what we are knowing are two different things. So
we don't know Jack.
We said, believe me, we've been taught jack shit. What we're told and what is true are two completely different things.
Yeah, and this idea will roll over into my presentation afterwards.
Yeah. So the original reason I started to even go down the track of this is because we talked in a previous podcast about the name Jack, and it had so many, different types of Jack. And I started asking myself, I got to look into all these and see why everything has a Jack to it. So we have to start somewhere, and that is, let's look at where does the name Jack originate? Well, it originates with Jacob. And if you look at the specific dictionary on names, you'll see what does Jacob mean in Hebrew? We all know that it is the heel catcher. He was the second born of twins. But you kind of see that he is the second, diminutive. He's the lesser of the importance. He is second in line. He is, in a sequence, he is not the first. So that, in a nutshell, is giving you the true meaning of Jack.
Well, I mean, if you look at some of the adjectives there, overreacher, insidious, deceitful, tricky, treacherous, deceitfulness.
Now, I think that part of that nomenclature is probably there to just trip you up.
Quite possibly, yeah.
I think in reality, what's being said is he's not number one.
Yeah.
He's number two, or he's the lesser of the two. And I think everything else, all the negativity is just there to kind of make you go down a rabbit hole, just like what media does for us.
Yeah.
So on this next slide, we all work and no play. We know this quote makes Jack.
Yeah, Jack, a dull boy.
Right? So we're going to look at the Jack and why he's even on the playing cards. So this picture on the left denotes a early 13th century depiction of from a coin of what was imprinted as a figure of who we know now as the Jack. On the right-hand side is we see 17th century, just a few hundred years later. You can see how different the depiction is of this knave or a knight, if you want to use more modern vernacular.
Okay.
So we look a little later and we see that the Germans, and I have a couple of different slides with the same message, but the picture is different. So the German people eventually would do away with the queen, and the knight would be what replaced it. And then by, later on, the Jack then becomes, because of confusion, they change it to a Jack versus a knight because you have the king already using a K, and the knight would just make it more difficult.
Yeah, and these silent Ks, there's got to be something in that. It's probably all these silent letters are probably put into words for gematria reasons. That's just my opinion. I mean, knight, knave, why are they spelled with a K?
Yeah, I always thought that possibly in the past, in the language, that the K was pronounced and then it was dropped. But again, there's no way to really know unless we could go back and actually talk to someone. But if we go to the next slide, it's going to be very similar, the message. But this is a screenshot of the article that I was reading. And it talked specifically on how the queen was just not endeared or enduring. So in Spain, they would replace it by the caballeros, or the knights. And then the modern day Jack card came about when the Germans decided to completely remove the queen and put the upper man, or the Uberman, and the lower man, the Unterman, would be the lower of the king to the Jack or the knight. And we're looking at just the 19th century, so we're going to talk based on the timeline that the world recognizes.
Yeah.
This is another way of using the given name Jack. Jack is a given name, and we talked about this and why people use Jack as a shortened version for John, Jacob, Jason, Jonathan, Jan, Johann, Johannes, Joachim, and in French, Jacques and Jacobus. And then even for the female, Jacqueline, Jacqueline, and Jackie.
Yeah, I've never understood how Jack can become a nickname for John. It just doesn't compute with me.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, you're not saving any breath.
No.
You're not saving any real letters from Jack to John. So the point, it just seems kind of irrelevant. But when you think about what's in a name, you also see in some cases you're saying the Jack would mean a diminutive or smaller, or go to the back of the line. But look at this guy. I mean, this guy is jacked.
Yeah.
He's very muscular. But what I'm saying is the connotation is probably that as jacked as you want to get, you're not anywhere close to us in terms of size or stature. What's this? There are other jacks. This is a slapjack. This is a weapon that a lot of 19th century and even some early 20th century policemen used when they didn't want to use a firearm.
So, okay, in the UK, it's called a truncheon.
Okay.
Truncheon.
Or what about Jack Black? I just threw that one in.
Jack Black or Black Jack, the playing card game. Card game.
Yeah. Yep. And
Jack
then,
Sparrow.
You threw that one in. Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, and I had to choose the one with him doing the shush sign.
Yeah, let's not let anybody know. So, and then we've talked about this in past videos, but if you look at this picture of Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack has obviously fought or climbed the stalk, stolen whatever riches he wanted to get. In this case, it looks like he's got some kind of golden harp. I always thought it was a golden goose, but if you look closely at the picture, Jack is depicted as a, human being with fair skin, but look at that giant. Doesn't the giant to you look like he's almost like a rock, almost like he's made out of some other material?
Yeah, there's a manufacturer in the UK that produces stuff like tinned or canned sweet corn, and it's Jolly Green Giant.
Oh yeah, we have him here too.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So we did talk. Oh, go ahead.
I've never heard of I've heard of the C5 Fun. I've never heard of FAR before.
Yeah, this is all in an article that I was reading about the translation of the saying that the giant says when he is getting the scent of that human in his realm. So fa, fi, fi, fo, fum. And if you read that in its meaning, it says, behold, food. And we know that food for him in this case is the blood, right? Because he says, the blood of an Englishman, I smell the blood.
Yeah.
And what's in blood? We know that what's in blood, right?
Yes.
It's iron. And its chemical name is Fe, which is ferrous, right?
Yeah.
So look at it. The word Fe is pointing right to the blood.
It's interesting that the word food and the word blood are both only one letter away from flood.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
So behold, food, good to eat, and sufficient for my hunger. That's what he's saying when he says that phrase, fa, fi, fi, fo, fum.
And there's no coincidence that F is the 6th letter of the alphabet.
Mm-hmm. So the giant is depicted as made of a different material, green, and my thinking it could be some kind of silicon-based material.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
So what else does jack have to do with when you jack up your car to lift it to repair a tire? When you jack up your truck so you can go to the monster truck competition and stomp on all those cars. And of course, your favorite, the jackpot.
Yeah, which is connected to 7, which is this realm that we've talked about ad nauseum now.
Yeah. 777 is 21. And again, 21 is blackjack too. It's a jackpot. And, when you get the jackpot, when you hit it, you're the winner. You're you're endowed with materialism, right?
Yeah. Right. Which is what this realm is all about.
All right. So, unsuspectingly, there are some more connections. Flapjacks and maybe Wolfman Jack. You remember him from the Shocky days?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't know why are pancakes called flapjacks?
Well, they're small, aren't they?
They're smaller than the regular pancakes. So the connotation again is when you're a jack, you're lesser, you're smaller. And then a lot of people don't know that back years and years ago, flap was what we would call as flip today.
Yeah.
So
I hope this podcast is not offending anybody out there called Jack.
No, we're not here to pick on the name. We're given the origin of what the meaning of this hidden meaning of what Jack supposedly represents. And then the connection with Wolfman Jack, as we go a little bit farther on the pod on this presentation, you're going to see that the Wolfman Jack has a link to a leprechaun.
Okay.
So what's the bottom line? Jack is a diminutive name to symbolize a lesser or smaller or inferior of whatever is describing the human. The bodybuilder is probably the biggest exception, but even he is being big, he's still not a giant.
Right, yeah.
What about a jacket? A jacket is a small version of a coat. And of course, we did talk about the flapjack is a smaller pancake. All are small. So Jack, Jackal, the Dogman, the werewolf, all connected to the leprechaun. We saw Jack was climbing a beanstalk to find his riches, much like a person who chases that rainbow. And what's at the end of the rainbow? We know it's a pot of gold. But the emphasis on the word rainbow should really be on the word rain. Not the rain that falls from the sky, but the rain of who is in control. We know that supposedly this depiction of a rainbow was what is it called? I'm missing the word here. The deal that God made with humanity to never destroy the earth again. Would you make a deal with someone that destroyed your property in the past?
No.
Or anything that you had? I would just be afraid. Oh, it's the covenant. I was trying to find the word covenant.
Oh, right, okay.
So the rainbow at the end with a pot of gold, that is just a trap. The emphasis is on the rain. He supposedly runs this place, and he wants to make a covenant. This rainbow is nothing more than a trap to ensnare you into the materialism.
Well, the rainbow's an ark, and covenant, ark of the covenant.
Yeah, the ark of the covenant, right. And so he's just waiting for you to fall for that trap.
Yeah.
So he supposedly is the leprechaun waiting at the end of the rainbow to endow you with riches and all the things you could ever want, kind of like what we're going to see in your presentation when we're done with this one. So what is a leprechaun? Back in the 1600s, supposedly, the leprechaun was understood by the Irish to be explained as a very small body. And that's why the word lou, which means little, was used. Not heavy, having little weight, something to that effect. However, the Celtic linguistic scholarships has recently found that they were probably wrong in how they came up with what leprechaun really meant. And, to put it quickly, they realized that the leprechaun really had a meaning of, and I'm not going to read through this whole thing. You can pause the video and read it. The ancient Greeks had a saying, and they were depicting a werewolf. So there is a connection to a dogman or a werewolf type where that they were describing what a leprechaun really would be.
Well, on the the last word on the left is Lupercalia, and on the right, it's talking about the Roman Luperci. The Luperci were bands of aristocratic youths who ran naked through ancient Rome. Well, lupus is wolf, right?
Yes. It's a lepos means is wolf, but in essence, they had these youths that were running around naked in the Roman festivals. And so a lot of the definitions were confounded, confused. But really, the essence is that there's got to be a connection to a hairy dog type person.
Well,
so
where it says they're an ancient non-human race, because they could swim, they were supposed to have survived Noah's flood and taken refuge in Ireland. If you go back and look at the history of Ireland, it's crazy, absolutely insane. Yeah.
Yeah, so these people would swim through these waters and had the ability to transform into a wolf person.
Mm.
So there's our Wolfman Jack connection right there.
Yeah. Wow.
So what's the takeaway? The takeaway is we use words that we don't understand the meaning of. No one ever asked. I mean, I've never asked what the flapjack meant.
No.
Why is what's called a jack always secondary? You know, why is it smaller? One more word that I didn't, yes, the jack, it's going to be connecting. But one more is the jacuzzi.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And we talked about this, and I didn't include it because I just wanted to say, you know, we'll just talk about it. So the people who invented the jacuzzi, their main claim to fame is the hot tub. But originally, over 120 years ago, I think the uncle of these people that did the jacuzzi, he invented a small motor to help propel motorboats. Now the nephews eventually came to the United States and they created what we know today as like the hot tub. But if you look at their name wasn't always pronounced jacuzzi. It's been modified. It was pronounced Yakutsi. Because the J, we know, wasn't really around a lot long ago. Okay, so it was always pronounced Ya, and even the word Jacob was Yaakov, right? It wasn't J, it was a Ya sound.
Yeah.
So when we look at these, the origin of these Italian fellows, probably have a connection to the Yehudan race, and so when we look at that, we know that it's the Yah, which has the connection to the Jacob, to the Jack.
Well, the letter J is also pronounced as a H, as in Juan, Jose, which is where we got our Jesus connection to He's us, but can also be pronounced as a Y. And if you put that, if you pronounce the word Jesus and using the J as a Y, you get yes, us.
Or if you look at the letter I in general, its origin it has a Greek origin as well, and that is called the iota.
Oh, okay.
So there it sounds like a Y there. So that tells you that it could be Jesus, right? Jesus. So he's us.
Yes, us as well. Yeah. All right, good stuff. All right, guys. Look,
the bottom line is we're not being taught correctly. You know, we're being given no choice. We talked about the didactic versus dialectic teaching systems. We're force-fed information. It's shoved down our throats. We're not allowed to ask questions. And in order to pass or to get a good score, we have to regurgitate.
Yeah.
We're never allowed to think. We're not told to be free thinkers. We're set in a mold that everyone just assembly line mold.
Yeah, without that. And you know, we can take this to wherever we want to go. I mean, I was making some notes earlier. We won't talk too much about this now, but the pine cone, right? We know there's a pine cone at the Vatican. Pineapple looks very similar to a pine cone. Pine needle sounds a lot like pineal. Your spine, pine, and people are aware of this, but it blew me away when I discovered this, that spine is an anagram of the male. I'm not going to say the word. You know, you can work it out for yourself, but it's an anagram. So, and then you've got the pineal, you've got the penal, as in a penal code or something referring to the male. You know, you would talk about it as your penal region. So there's a lot of these connections that we're making now, and other people are making, that, you know, everything we've been taught is a lie, all of it.
Yeah. So
we're going to end this one here, guys, because we're going to come with us over to BitChute and have a look at the stuff that I've been putting together. It's a little bit random, but not that much. But as always, guys, comments here, please. We get notifications when you comment, and we always read them. We always respond. Doesn't happen on BitChute, so don't bother leaving a comment on BitChute, because unless we physically go back there and check, which we don't really have a great deal of time to do, then we're not gonna see your comment. So link will be below. Pop over there and then come back here and leave a comment on either of the two presentations. Okay.
And don't forget to remind everyone, email. Are you going to include your email in the links down so that we can get the questions? That way.
My email, and somebody said they tried emailing me without having problem. It's NIGE, WZ, or WZ, however you want to pronounce it, #1 at Gmail. So NIGEWZ1 at Gmail. All right. So if you don't want to leave a comment, but you want to flick an email, then you can do that.
Yeah, and if we, like I said, we get all the questions, we'll accumulate the ones that are the most frequently asked.
Yeah.
And then we can actually respond to them.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you over there. Cheers.
All right, bye-bye.